Teaching Lore, Creative Writers and the University, written by Kelly Ritter and Stephanie Vanderslice, reviewed by DJ Ferguson. I recognize that we are in mixed company here, so in case you have never had a creative writing workshop, here's what they look like. First, before class, you write your piece, and you read everyone else's pieces, poems, fiction, whatever. You write down your thoughts, your opinions, your recommendations, etc. And then during class, you sit around a table, you pick a poem and read it out loud, usually twice, and then you talk about the poem. You share your thoughts, opinions, recommendations, etc. Every single workshop I have had at UNCG has followed this exact formula. And in this article, Peter Rosario refers to this as a model of instruction over 100 years old, but basically unrevised. This is for the graduate creative writing workshop, and it's often applied to the vastly different populations of the undergraduate creative writing course, with mixed results at best. Why? While we were reading Emerson and Nature, I came across this piece, which really resonated with me, probably because Emerson heralds the poet as being like the champion, the best of all artists. But this piece stuck with me. We are strangely affected by seeing the shore from a moving ship, from a balloon, or through the tints of an unusual sky. The least change in our point of view gives the whole world a pictorial air. A man who seldom rides needs only to get into a coach and traverse his own town to turn the street into a puppet show. In a higher manner, the poet communicates the same pleasure. This pleasure is in seeing your world from a completely different perspective. He even went on to write about the joys of peering at the pedestrian everyday world through your own two legs upside down. If this is one of the many goals of poetry, how can you justify teaching it the exact same way every single time? It makes no sense. Why is this happening? According to Ritter and Vanderslice, there are two answers, money and lore. And they start their article off with this quote from Morris Friedman. For money, the highly commercialized teaching of creative writing is in its own shabby way big business. That's no surprise to anybody in the program. And then lore. Certainly, writing can be no more taught than painting or any skill in any art, but it can be taught as much. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the money side of things. Everybody in graduate school knows the financial incentives or the stakes for the parties involved. Just keep in mind that at every level, pedagogy is, secondary. I don't want to suggest that the entire setup is only doomed to fail. There are several examples in the article where you can find teacher writers who are teaching writers to be teacher writers where it is successful, but these are the exceptions that sort of prove the rule. The bulk of the article deals with creative writing teaching lore. Because the emphasis is on money and on writing or research, the teaching side of creative writing just gets left to hearsay. It's not research, it's not trial and error, it's not methodology, it's just tradition and word of mouth. I like this comparison. The lore of teaching creative writing, what positions the teaching as a favorite hand-me-down in the clothes closet of academia. It's systemic, it's pervasive, and it's rooted in creative writing's isolated academic status. Here are some pieces of the hand-me-down outfit. First, creative writers have annexed themselves from the institution. If you think Robert Williams tearing up textbooks in Dead Poets Society, you've got the right idea. Teaching creative writing just comes down to recipe swapping, according to Ted Lardner. You get all these different things that maybe this works for you, maybe it won't. Some of them are super rigid, some of them are super weird. Creative writing can't be graded, so it's probably an easy A, and if you're not the Iowa Writers Workshop, you are doing it wrong. Towards the end of the article, Ritter and Vanderslice identify sites of lore in our creative writing programs. Not going to look at all of them, but this first one is really important. The cyclical use of language and power perpetuated inside and outside the creative writing classroom, and potentially all classrooms, is a really elegant way to describe the bone that I have to pick with Showalter. The strengths of this article are that it exposes the financial circle jerk of creative writing programs, it names the hidden curriculum, and it champions an interdependent university. For cons, I have no concrete recommendations. Here are the research questions.